Every year, the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service facilitates scholarships and grants targeting eligible Jamaicans who are looking to advance their studies. Some of the scholarships facilitated yearly allow for students to study both locally and internationally at leading universities. There are also grants for public sector workers and their children. But what do you need to know about scholarships? Hi, I'm Shaquille Rochester Shorter, and welcome to Finance Matters. Joining us to share the details is the Director of the Talent and Knowledge Management Portfolio at the MoFPS, Mrs. Colette Cummings McCausland. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow the Ministry of Finance on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and now TikTok to see all the episodes and highlights. Mrs. McCausland, thank you for being on our program today.
Thank you for having me, Shaquille.
All right, so I want you to tell us about some of the scholarships facilitated by the ministry.
All right, so our scholarship offers are facilitated through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade.
Okay.
We do have bilateral partners such as Serbia, Russia, China, and Cuba, as well as multilateral partners such as the OAS, Organization of American States, UK Commonwealth, New Zealand Commonwealth. Our local scholarship offers are the Marcus Garvey Graduate Public Sector Scholarship, targeted to individuals within the public sector, as well as our new initiative, the Micro STEM Scholarship for teachers to be trained in the areas of STEM, as well as the UTech STEM Scholarship for young professionals to be trained in the area of STEM.
I hear you talking about scholarships, the STEM Scholarship, the Marcus Garvey Public Sector Graduate Scholarship, but a lot of times people are deterred by the bonding that they have to sign. What is bonding?
All right, so bonding it's of an archaic term. It is really just a service level agreement, promising that after you've studied, after the government has invested in you through our bilateral partners and you have studied overseas or locally, that you will just work in Jamaica for a minimum of 2 years to a maximum of 5 years.
Who does bonding apply to?
It applies to every citizen who gets the benefit from the government of Jamaica or through its donor agencies from 300,000 up, then you are required to sign a bond agreement.
Okay. What are some recommendations for people studying abroad? You know of people going abroad to study. What do you have to say to them?
Do your research. First and foremost, know where it is that you're going to, know the culture that you're going into.
Definitely.
Because Jamaicans are loved and we like to explore. So do your research. That's the main advice that I can give to them. Be aware of the area that you're going into as well, because there's a lot of geopolitical tension happening across the globe. So be aware, and then you have to make that decision. You know, what is it if something should happen? How will you be able to leave quickly? You know, once you get overseas, we also encourage all our scholarships or students, recipients, right, to register with the embassy or the consulates in that country to say that I'm here studying, I'm expected to be here for a number of years, so that we'll have information on our citizens while they're overseas.
And that is definitely for their safety, Mrs. McCausland. Parents are oftentimes worried about their children going off. I know you're talking to the students that do your research, but what do you have to tell parents that are worried that, hey, my one daughter is leaving to go overseas and I can't stop worrying? What do you have to say?
Be prepared. Speak with your child, know what it is that they're getting into. Look at what the scholarship is offering. Some of our scholarships are full scholarships, while others are partial scholarships. So therefore, is it that you will have to find some assistance or funding while the student is there? So we suggest that you just have the conversation with them. Also have a conversation with us to find out what it is that the GOJ will offer in terms of stipend or warm clothing or tuition, what it is that the government of Jamaica offers for that particular scholarship offer. Look at what the bilateral donor is also offering for that scholarship, because you can get free education, but then what is the wherewithal of it? How is it that I'm going to manage in that particular culture? If I go to China, how do I manage, you know, what the infrastructure is like in China, which is totally different from Jamaica? Russia is forever cold. So you have to be prepared.
Yes.
Also, be available to them. Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, video calls, just be present for them because they do need it. It's a new environment for them. It's a new feeling for you as a parent.
Yes.
And you get jittery. It's our loved ones. But as long as we prepare ourselves by being a part of the process, knowing what the process entails and keeping in tune with our students while they're overseas, they'll be fine.
Definitely agree with you, Mrs. McCausland. But you mentioned earlier that the scholarships are oftentimes for government workers. What are some of the other eligible criteria that they must meet to be able to get a scholarship?
All right, so outside of being a government employee, you must be a citizen of Jamaica for any scholarship that we offer. You must have the criteria as set out by the donor entity. So most of the donor entities, if it is for undergraduate, they'll ask you to have your CSEC or your CAPE studies. So for example, the Cuba bilateral that is currently open, we have 21 scholarship offers now out for Cuba, most of them being in the areas of medicine. So we have for nursing and we have for general medicine. We have at the postgraduate level. For those at the undergraduate level, you must have at least 2 subjects in the sciences. So physics and bio or chemistry, a mix. So it's dependent on what the donor entity asks for. But the main factor is you must be a Jamaican, and most times you must be willing to return to the country to develop the country.
That's definitely a big one there,
Right.
Mrs. McCausland. So before we go, quickly, tell us where we can go to apply for a scholarship.
Always at the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service website, any one of our social media handles. Most of our scholarship applications are done online. It is tweeted, it is on Facebook, it's on Instagram. I hear we're on TikTok now.
Yes,
but
we are.
Definitely on the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service website at www.mof.gov.jm.
Well, on that note, Mrs. McCausland, thank you for being on our program today.
Thank you so much, Shaquille. It was a pleasure.
And thank you for joining us on this episode of Finance Matters. Remember to follow us on social media at MoF Jamaica and tune in next week as we continue to demystify the economic and fiscal policies and initiatives implemented by the government to empower Jamaicans as we chart a path to Jamaica's economic prosperity.